Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're so glad to see you here. My name is Christine Denneker. I serve as Associate Vice President for Learning and Innovation at the University of Findlay. I also happen to be a proud Bluffton University alum. We are so glad you're here tonight to talk about this proposed merger. We want to get your insights, we want to listen, and we want to have a chance to get some answers to your questions. Here's how our time tonight is going to be organized. We're going to spend a little time with introductions, and I'm going to start by introducing Claire Clay, who's here with me from Bluffton University. I'm going to give Claire a moment to speak, but first of all, I just want to explain that there are several people working from the University of Findlay and Bluffton University on communications for these events. And so from the start, we are collaborating at the University of Findlay. I, Sarah Fedorka, Beth Stewart, Beth Church, and our Marcon team, and then from Bluffton University, Robin Bolus, Claire Clay, and others. Claire, you want to say a word?
Thank you, Chris. My name is Claire Clay. I am the Director of Public Relations and Enrollment Operations at Bluffton, and I am a Bluffton University grad, but I live here in Findlay, so I'm very excited to work on this project with Chris and others.
Thanks, Claire. We're going to move on to introductions with our presidents, and then we'll talk a little bit about our guiding principles for this work together. We'll give you some insights into those. After that, we're going to spend a little time answering questions that have come in through our website and through social media, and then we will move to questions from those of you in the audience. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Fell and Dr. Wood.
Thank you, Chris and Claire, and welcome everyone to our campus and to this event tonight. This is an important step toward an important future for the University of Findlay and Bluffton University. I'm Kathy Fell, the president of the University of Findlay. Just a few quick details about me, since I hope we get to know each other very well over the coming years. I grew up in Stamps, Arkansas, met my husband Roger when we were in college. We went off to graduate school at Texas A&M. We married, we had 6 children, and here we are. And there were some other things in between. But I joined the University of Findlay in 2010, and I have found it to be a wonderful place. Our colleagues here are very similar, I suspect, to colleagues at Bluffton University. I think we share a culture and a drive and a calling that makes this partnership, this merger, make sense for our future together. So again, Kathy Fell, welcome to our campus. I hope you feel at home here, not only this evening, but for many years to come. Jane?
Hello, Findlay community, and also some wonderful, familiar Bluffton faces. Thank you to all of you who came out tonight. I am Jane Wood. I am the 10th president of Bluffton University. I came to Bluffton 6 years ago as the president, and I had previously served as the vice president of academic affairs at Mount Marty College in South Dakota. And prior to that, I was a tenured English department dean and faculty member at Park University in Kansas City, Missouri. My husband and I met in high school, so that was just a few years ago, and we married and have 2 adult daughters. We grew up in St. Joseph, Missouri, and we're in Kansas City for a long time before we came this direction. We love it here. It is an honor to lead Bluffton University with our commitment to nurturing our core values of diversity, community, service, and respect. I am proud to work with my dedicated colleagues to prepare our students of all backgrounds for life as well as vocation, and ultimately for the purposes of God's universal kingdom. If you're not familiar with Bluffton, I want to share just a little bit of background. The school was founded in 1899. We soon became known as Bluffton College. Our official motto was and remains, "The truth makes free." In 2004, we changed our name to Bluffton University because we were adding master's degree programs. We offer more than 90 majors, minors, and interdisciplinary programs, plus graduate degrees in business administration, education, nutrition and dietetics, organizational management, and most recently, social work. We are proud to be the Bluffton Beavers. Our student athletes compete on 18 NCAA Division III teams in the Heartland Collegiate Athletic Conference, or HCAC. Our current board leadership at Bluffton University understands the landscape of higher education is changing. It calls us to be forward-thinking, to succeed, to be not afraid, to be bold in our vision. As we enter into this time of transition toward a merger, President Fell and I pledge this to you, to bring together and preserve the strengths of both beloved campuses so that we are even stronger together. On behalf of the entire Bluffton University community, we are looking forward to getting to know you.
Thank you, President Wood. So here we are. We have signed a memorandum of understanding. What does that mean? It means that our boards of trustees have agreed, not only agreed by majority vote, but agreed unanimously and enthusiastically to pursue a merger of our two universities. This is a big step. It's a big step for the University of Findlay, our University of Findlay students, faculty, and staff, alumni, and friends certainly have questions that we are trying to answer and have answered through the days since this announcement was made. And certainly our Bluffton University friends have questions. We honor those questions, we respect them. You may have anxieties, you may have concerns, and we care about that. So bring them to us. And we only ask that you talk through those with us and get the facts. So we will move into some of the questions that have already appeared on our frequently asked questions website, and I look forward to answering some of those for you. Remember that www.findlayblufftonfuture.com is the place to submit. There is an application there where you can submit questions. If we don't answer them all tonight, or we haven't answered them already on that website, please feel free to submit more questions there. And you will see answers that we've already prepared. We update that regularly. So please know that whatever questions you may have, whatever concerns you may have, or points of excitement or advice for us, please submit those. We welcome those. We are going to set up transition teams from both campuses. This merger comes in 4 phases, and we have completed only the first phase with the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding. In the first phase, we do a lot of due diligence to test the viability and promise of a future together. And we have spent a great deal of time on that. President Wood and I have been friends since she began her presidency at your university, Bluffton University. I guess our university is the University of Findlay now. Pretty soon, it's all going to be yours and ours. We have been friends since she began 6 years ago. We've talked about lots of things through these years. And in the most recent year, we've talked about partnerships, synergies between programs, all types of possibilities for offering more to our students, not only now, but throughout the future for many years to come. You may have noticed that not everybody had 6 babies. And there is a population cliff coming of traditionally college-age students. This type of merger not only is good for us, whether that cliff is coming or not, for reasons of synergies of courses and more offerings for our students and more beautiful spaces for our students to spend time, but it is also a preparation for that cliff. Merging will happen more frequently. You'll hear more about mergers in higher education in the coming years. In Ohio, I like to think that Bluffton University and the University of Findlay are leading the way, and that we will do this properly and appropriately, carefully, and with vision. I have that much confidence, not just in President Wood, but also in the Bluffton University community, knowing what I know about it now, and I look forward to learning more. I want to be clear that neither President Wood nor I, nor anyone at the University of Findlay has any intention of completely changing or taking away the Bluffton campus. Why would we do that? You have a rope bridge. Who would want to move that? Who would want to? We are not moving our horse farm to your nature preserve. There are many rumors that float around. Have you noticed that about humans? If you have a vacuum, the human will fill it. The nature preserve will remain the nature preserve. We know that the University of Findlay has some programs, particularly graduate programs. We have 11 master degree programs, 5 doctoral programs. We believe a number of Bluffton University students may want to transition to graduate school here at the University of Findlay. For athletics, we love purple. We don't plan to take purple away. We also love orange and black. I like the name Beavers. You Bluffton people, how many of you here are from the Bluffton community or the university? The Bluffton University. Thank you for being here. I hope there'll be a number of Findlay people at Bluffton tomorrow night. I hope you'll come back because you'll be in the know by then. But we plan to sustain D3 athletics at Bluffton University and D2 athletics at the University of Findlay. Other campuses have done this and done it successfully. We're meeting with our team in charge of athletics and student affairs from Bluffton and the University of Findlay are going to NCAA tomorrow in Indianapolis to talk through that process. So there's much about Bluffton University that will remain the same. There's much about the University of Findlay that will remain the same. We'll be the Oilers, we'll be Division II, we'll still win. So just, what's there to worry about? But we will also change. We will change for the better. We will join forces, we will listen to one another, we will show the world what educated people do. They don't jump to conclusions, they don't listen to gossip, they don't spread gossip. They actually get the facts, they get to know one another, and they try to find a way to respect and care for one another while they work toward a common cause. And our common cause is offering a great education, helping our students not only become practiced and professional, but more important than that, to find meaning, purpose, and mission in life. I believe from all I've seen, and it's 125 years, and I wasn't here for all of those, that Bluffton University is committed to that. It's got grit and grace and staying power. That's why we're interested in that. That's why our Board of Trustees stood and clapped when they had the opportunity to vote in favor of this merger. I also know that to be true of the University of Findlay, having spent some time here myself, 14 years now, that we have grit and grace and staying power, and that we are committed wholly to student success. We're both founded in religious settings of Christian faith. Bluffton affiliated with the Mennonite Church, the University of Findlay founded and affiliated by the Churches of God General Conference. There are many common traits of our campuses, and that makes us stronger. There are some interesting differences. We have horses, we're not moving them to Bluffton. You have a nature preserve, you have a brand new gorgeous science building. I went under the cloak of darkness to check it out. So we have a bright future together. You have many questions and concerns because this means change not just for Bluffton University. This means change for the University of Findlay. We're both changing. So we can make this a good change, an exciting change, and we will have some conversations and questions, and we'll have to work through some questions that you already have that we don't yet know the answer to, but we've only gotten to phase 1. That's why we say we're planning a merger. This is what will happen if this merger comes to fruition. Now the real work begins in phase 2, which is due diligence and decision making. We have many, many decisions to make. We will make them together. not only with our communities and our alumni, our faculty and staff on both campuses. We'll have transition teams made up of representatives from both campuses to move through the many questions, not only that the community has, but that our faculty, staff, and students have. I will meet with students on the Bluffton campus tomorrow. I met with student leaders last night on our campus. I thought that went really well. They asked some really good questions. That means we're educating them well. And nobody was ready to protest. It's a little disappointing for some of you, not because you're mad, but because you perhaps remember protesting when you were in college. But we just are not so excited about that. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. So there we are. Some of the questions that we've been asked include, where will our students go to class? Will they be at Bluffton? Will the Bluffton students stay at Bluffton? Will the Findlay students stay at Findlay? Jane, what do you think about that?
Well, I would say that the majority of the coursework that our Bluffton University students do will take place on the Bluffton campus, and the majority of the work that Findlay students do will take place on the Findlay campus. However, I also have to share with you that last night when I talked to our student leaders, they were very, very excited about the computer science program at the University of Findlay, and they asked me if they could start this fall. And so they said, we would like to know right now whether you're going to be running a shuttle. And I said, we don't know yet. We might be running a shuttle. That is something we will be talking about, and Dr. Sider and Dr. Fields will be working on articulations so that you may at some point enroll in computer science classes here. So there is a lot of excitement among our students about potential for programs. They're also fiercely loyal to our institution. And so they were very, very relieved when I said we were not going to become the broilers. That was not a possibility, that we were going to remain the Bluffton Beavers. We would continue to be purple and white. We are going to continue to play D3 athletics. Jay, Denny, and Jenny will still show up with, all the accoutrements. They have Halloween costumes. They have Christmas costumes. I don't know if your mascot does. We might have to have a battle of the mascots. But anyway, so the students were very relieved to hear that. And, Kathy, I've also heard you say, and I really appreciate this, that one of the things that we are both excited about, that you are in particular, is that we are different in many ways. And why in the world would we want a little mini Findlay in Bluffton? So I don't know if that's something you would want to talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, I agree. We don't need to replicate ourselves. We're trying to reach different populations of students. We do now to some degree. Not entirely different, but to some degree. A large population of the Bluffton students are indeed D3 student athletes. We want them to keep coming to Bluffton and playing their sports and doing very, very well. When I was there one day last week meeting with faculty and staff, a student leader was telling me that he had, maybe he's also a staff member, he may be a student assistant, and that's why he was at that meeting. He was saying that he was the head of an esports team there that has been very successful. And he's really hoping that we start one so that whenever he visits Findlay, he doesn't have any intention, I think, of moving to Findlay, but when he visits, he'll have somebody to compete with. Well, I think that might be a really good idea. So already, there are great ideas germinating, and I am happy about that.
One of the other questions we have received a lot from the website is about the language that says pending, would merge, will merge. Why is there this sort of hesitation? And I don't think I have any hesitations. Our board, certainly, who voted for this merger, that is, our boards vote. The boards are the fiduciaries for our organizations, and so these are board votes. Although I am very supportive, I know Kathy is very supportive, we do not vote in that matter. Those are board decisions. And so as we think about the boards and we think about our future, one of the things that we know together is that we are excited and that our boards are very excited. But this idea of, well, why pending then? Why not just say this is happening? And the reason for that is because we will make applications. We're already in process of making applications to the Higher Learning Commission. So we both have actually the same HLC liaison. For those of you who are not in the pleasured world of accreditation, that's the Higher Learning Commission, and they accredit both of our organizations. And so we will make application to the Higher Learning Commission, and that takes about 9 months to a year. So for 9 months to a year, we will be waiting to have that go through. Now, we also don't walk into a merger not having talked to HLC to say, do you think this is a good idea? Our HLC representative said, oh, I'm really excited about this news. Okay, but there are still, they say that. And then there's the paperwork to fill out. So Dr. Lamar Nisley, who is a wonderful HLC person on our campus, he will be helping us with that. And there's just a lot of forms and, I's to dot, T's to cross. Similarly with the NCAA. So we will be talking to the NCAA about how all of this is going to work. There are other models where we have seen this work successfully. So we're not the first by any means, although we may be the first in Ohio. So it's fun to be the first sometimes and to be at the forefront of things. But we have to apply and then receive full accreditation before we are fully announcing the merger. And we don't want to get out ahead of our accrediting bodies and say, we've already decided to do this, now you must rubber stamp it. That usually just doesn't work too well. It's been my experience, Kathy.
No. Actually, we're not going to get ahead of our accreditors. This would be bad news for everybody.
Yeah. So
yes.
Hence the pending language. So for example, we recently started a social work program at the master's degree level. And so we're in the process of accreditation, and you'll see asterisks on our materials that say pending accreditation. And so that same language is there. It's quite common. It's just, this may be, for some of you, the first time you're reading this kind of language here in this situation.
Thank you. So remember, we've just finished phase 1. We're heading into phase 2. Phase 2 includes all of those approvals that President Wood just listed. It also means we're working with teams on both campuses. It will take 12 to 15 months for phase 2 to be completed. So we have a lot of work to do, and you'll be hearing updates from us from time to time. And mostly we're going to be working on both campuses to come to decisions that are good for our campuses and for our students. There will be phase 3, which will be a happy day when we do decide to sign the definitive agreements to merge. And then phase 4 is the best of all. It's when we launch and when we have a party. I hope you'll come to the party. And you'll be happy by then. But if you're not happy now, you'll be happy by then. That's a promise. If you're open to happiness, if you prefer not to be happy, I can't make you be happy, no matter what. But if you're open to it. So a few other false rumors that we've heard that I think are a little hilarious, a couple of others. Findlay is not buying Bluffton. The only thing we're likely to buy at Bluffton is a purple t-shirt, okay? This is not a corporate merger. This is a friendly agreement between higher education, not-for-profit, mission-driven institutions. This is not a buying, this is not a purchase. And Bluffton's identity is not going away. I think I've said that before. They're not becoming the boilers or the broilers. I don't know if Bluffton wants to become the boilers or the broilers, that would be your decision, but that's not what we're offering at the University of Findlay. And then we will have to demonstrate to you over the years that we mean what we say, and that this will eventually attract more students and build and make stronger both communities, Findlay and Bluffton. So let's move on with our moderators who really are in charge of us.
I think you can see nobody's in charge of them. They got this. But thank you very much, Dr. Fell and Dr. Wood. As we've mentioned, our communication team has been looking at the website, and we have been looking at the questions that have been coming in, and we've put them into themes. And we're going to start with just a few of those, and then we'll move to questions from those of you in the audience. If you come tonight with a prepared statement, we ask that you leave that. We do not have time for prepared statements tonight, but we will take those questions that you have, and we will work to provide answers. We also are going to respectfully request those of us, like at the University of Findlay or Bluffton University, who have had the opportunity to ask questions of the presidents, to maybe let our friends in the public have first chance tonight. So we'll get to that in just a moment as well. And don't forget, you can go to www.findlayblufftonfuture.com to submit additional questions and make contact with us through that Contact Us form. By the way, there were updates made to the website today. You can see those in a brighter blue color, so if you go there into the FAQs, you will see some of the questions that have been answered so far. So we're going to start with some of those questions that came from the website, and Claire is going to start us off.
Okay, presidents. Was the decision to pursue a merger a financial decision?
President Wood?
So while we are always looking at ways, and those of you who are here from Bluffton know this, while we are always looking for ways to be more efficient, this conversation really started with Kathy and I at a President's CIC conference, where we started talking about, quite frankly, the enrollment cliff, the fact that in Ohio, we all know that we are going to have fewer college-aged students in the next 5 to 8, 9, 10 years. And so we are always thinking about what are the strategies, how can we work together? So we started talking about our nutrition and dietetics program. We started talking about the Masters in Social Work program that wasn't launched yet. She started talking to me about, well, would your students be interested in Doctor of Physical Therapy? Would your students be interested in pharmacy? We have a physician's assistant program. So we started talking about these really interesting places where we had some unique strengths and where Findlay also had some strengths. And how could we leverage this for our students and for, quite frankly, future enrollment pipelines? How do we help grow? So what we're seeing in Ohio is that for our sector, small private faith-based institutions, we are encountering all kinds of challenges. And so this is a way for us to really put forward in a growth mindset small, private, faith-based institutions. We really do believe that we are going to be stronger together. And so while we certainly hope to achieve some financial synergies, the driving force was really our mission and really looking towards the future and collaboration.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The second question, what will happen to the endowment funds and gifts made by donors?
Well, they will remain in use as they were set up to remain by donors. So you may be asking that question particularly about the University of Findlay. We have endowments that have been set up by our donors, as does the Bluffton University campus. We'll honor those donors' wishes as written into the agreements. If for some reason we do this now, pre-merger, we've been in business a long time, so has Bluffton University. A program that was supported by a donor 30 years ago may no longer be in existence. So we would go back to that donor or that donor's family to ask if there's another program that donor would like to support. But that is just normal practice. We do not get the right to change the agreement of Bluffton University's donors' legal expectations, and Bluffton does not get the right to change our donors' legally approved expectations. Does that make sense? So the donors would be involved in those changes if needed.
Yeah, and I would add to that we have already received a grant to pursue some of the due diligence.
Correct.
And again, people across the United States who are looking at what is happening in higher education have set up funds for institutions who are willing to look at these kinds of possibilities. And so we were the grateful recipients of a very nice sum in order to pursue due diligence around whether this would be feasible. And that came equally to the University of Findlay and to Bluffton University. And so there may be donors potentially who would say, you know what, we are so proud of you all being sustainable and moving forward into the future. We'd like to give equally to both campuses. We would really like that.
I would say yes.
Thank you. Another question we've been seeing a lot, why were alumni, faculty, staff, and students not able to share their opinions about the decision to pursue a merger?
That's for phase 2, which is the longest and decision-making phase. Phase 1 was simply a conversation between President Wood and me that we took to our board chairs and they to the board members. We had to do due diligence from a third-party firm, the best, I think, in the business, and the Board of Trustees had to make a decision on whether to move toward a memorandum of understanding to move us then into this phase 2. That is the purview of the Board of Trustees and no one else. It's not a decision that Jane and I could make alone, and it is a decision that to the degree possible needs to be kept confidential. Those are the rules.
So we signed the MOU on March 19th, and on March 20th, we made a public announcement.
Right, so really, we wanted to talk to you about it. We wanted to share it with you and to start getting your insights and input, but we had to wait until we could legally do that. And here we are, and you're going to have so many questions from us, you'll be sorry. We're no longer under a non-disclosure agreement.
Thank you. One more question from the website. Can you give us some examples of other schools that have completed a merger like this one?
Well, I'll start with that one, and then Jane, you can take it. So Bloomfield University and Montclair University have merged successfully, and Bloomfield is Division II, and Montclair is Division III. So I think you might find that encouraging, especially those of you interested in our athletics programs. And the link to that information about that merger and a number of others is on our website. So you can do your own research into that. We've made it very easy for you.
And so I would mention for our Mennonite constituents here, you know about Conrad Grebel. It is a Mennonite institution within the University of Waterloo system, and so it has its own identity within a much larger system. So we actually looked to Conrad Grebel, and on a personal note, our oldest daughter went to a college called Barnard College. It's an all-women's college. It has its own identity within the Columbia University system. So one of the other questions that students have been asking is, do I get a diploma from Bluffton and from the University of Findlay? And so we haven't answered that question yet. That's something that our teams will be looking at and thinking about and talking about. But I will tell you, as the proud parent who sat through 2 graduations, that my daughter did indeed get a diploma from Barnard College, and then the next day we went and she got a diploma from Columbia University. So she has 2 diplomas to hang on her wall, and I say, yay, go teams.
Maybe we could do 4. I don't know. We can't be outdone.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Wood and Dr. Fell. At this time, we will take questions from the audience. You will see 2 microphones, one at the end of each aisle. As you come up to ask a question, if you would please identify yourself, and then you can pose your question. We have about a half hour. We have a hard stop at 8 p.m., but we're ready for you whenever you're ready to come up.
I'm Victoria Hansen. I'm a freshman here at the University of Findlay, and I've got a lot of questions, but one of the biggest ones in the student population has been what's going to happen with tuition. Is it going to just stay at sort of the normal rate? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Do we even know?
That's a good question. I'll start with that one. So we don't have a definitive answer to that as to the amount of tuition at either campus or both campuses. If we are able, we're hoping that this will be ready to go in the fall semester of 2025. So what I can tell you is that we'll do what we always do on both campuses, and that is pay close attention to what the market will bear, what types of financial aid we can offer our students, and take care of our students. That's what we're going to do. I do not have the specific answer for that particular question. Tuition typically goes up some every year on both campuses. It will continue to do that. But what we will do for continuing students as opposed to new students, we haven't decided that. But we are not going to make a decision that's going to run you off. So you can just go ahead and take a nap. Because I don't think you need to worry about that. Does that help? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Thank you. Good question.
Hi, I'm Claire Mitchell from 13 Action News in Toledo. I appreciate your time in answering my questions today. I have a couple of them, so sorry in advance. I guess my first question here, I just would like a little bit more clarity in understanding what is merging? Because you said Bluffton students who are already at Bluffton pretty much are going to stay there. Same thing goes for University of Findlay. It's not really a financial decision. You don't want to take the colors away. They're still going to stay the Beavers. I guess, are we still figuring out what's going to change and what that merger really is?
I'll start with my answer for that. The merger in this case means that we'll have one university. Bluffton campus, whatever its title might be, will be a significant part of the University of Findlay. So we'll have one university and one president, one cabinet. What is now Bluffton University will still be recognizable as a Bluffton campus with a number of the attributes and principles by which it now conducts itself. But we won't be two separate universities just hanging out together. A merger is becoming one entity.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. I would also say that I think our model in our brains for what a merger is like often comes from a more corporate world. And I would say that's not the way that we are necessarily approaching this, right? Kathy and I are good friends. I see some of you in this audience, you already collaborate together. You are colleagues at conferences. We understand the work that we both do. And so what this means is we are going to be collaborating together versus competing with each other. Right, so in our world, right, where we are hoping to attract students, we talk a lot about fit. Bluffton University is a very different fit than the University of Findlay. We share some attributes, but sometimes we'll look at a student and they're telling us where, they think it's important for them to go or what their major is, and we'll say, oh, you know what, you'd be a great fit at the University of Findlay. We don't often say that because we are not together. But now we can start to think about how we together can say, oh, this is a good fit for you and this is a good fit for you. So when we start to work together at recruiting, at retention, at enrollment pipelines, at academic programs, now all of a sudden you start to say, oh wow, what becomes possible when we are working together versus competing with each other? And I don't know that we have all the answers to that. There aren't so many books written on this like there are on more of the corporate side of things. What Kathy and I think, do pledge to you is that we are going to do this as women of faith. We are going to do this with care and deep conviction in our hearts. And we are not here because we are, trying to do anything that's not in the best keeping of both of our organizations. And so I think, if there were a better word or a different word, this is the word we have in our language right now, but maybe we'll create a new one.
Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you guys mentioned both being women of faith and both being faith-based colleges. So what will this merger mean for two different denominations in their campus ministries? Like, obviously Bluffton's is going to be Mennonite, ours is Churches of God. And while they're, relatively similar, things like, one being a traditional peace church and one being an Anabaptist church, I think might run into some interesting things. Will they do things together? or stuff?
Well, our intention at this point is that the Bluffton campus will maintain its connection to the Mennonite Church and continue having on campus some representations of that church as it does now. The Christian ministry services are led there by a minister selected by the board, I'm assuming, and approved by the Mennonite Church. I don't think that person is Mennonite, but approved by the Mennonite Church. On our University of Findlay campus, we will select, our Christian ministries are led by a minister who is either ordained by or approved by the Churches of God General Conference. We expect both things to continue, both practices to continue. The University of Findlay is founded in Christian faith, and we welcome all. We don't require people to share that faith. We don't require people to be of a particularly conservative or liberal persuasion. We certainly are neither Democratic nor Republican, but we welcome all, and we try to teach our students civil discourse. I'll let President Wood speak to the Bluffton campus, but my observation is they believe in peace. So that seems to me it would lead to civil discourse, but I could be wrong.
You are not wrong. No, we appreciate that very much, and we will absolutely keep our current, well, hopefully our current pastor, that she's very excited about this. And I would also say that Bluffton is a place that is open to all, and we will continue to work within MCUSA, hopefully, as we work through all the other pieces that we have to work forward. I also want to say, I talked to our students about this last night, and they were really excited. They're already thinking about like some gatherings they could have or conferences through campus ministry they could attend together. And so I think, again, there's some possibilities here to do some really exciting and interesting collaboration on both campuses.
Thank you. Are there other, please ask your question. No, please ask your question, but if there are other people with questions, please feel free to interrupt these two. Okay.
I'll let her go.
Are you sure?
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of like your questions, but okay.
Thank you. But my name is Leah Alsept. I am actually an alumni of the University of Findlay, graduated in May 2022.
It shows. Very
But I
smart.
also work for the Courier newspaper here in Findlay, and one of the questions that I was really curious about is the status of faculty at both universities. I know there was a little, you guys mentioned a little bit about like potentially like trading off students from universities to go to, the programs that are here versus that are at Bluffton. Will the same be for faculties? Will they largely keep the classes that they are already teaching at either university? Are they gonna, go back and forth, or will, positions even be cut because of the merging of coursework, or is that still up in the air?
It's a good question. We don't see a huge disruption, but again, there'll be some disruption, good disruption, not bad. And as I said, in phase 2, now faculty and staff are going to be placed on transition teams where they help us assess what's best. They may choose to have some courses offered or a program offered at one campus or the other instead of divided, but I'm not making that decision. Those decisions will come up through the cabinet and to both presidents, of course, but now the real work begins. That is a very important central question that you just asked. So good thinking. And it's certainly a question that our faculty and our staff are already considering. We're already talking about it, but we haven't gotten to an answer yet.
Okay.
There are many possibilities of answers to that question.
Yeah, Thank you. Yeah, just a couple of other points I would add is that we will be honoring tenure. So faculty who have already earned tenure, that is whether they're teaching at Bluffton or they are invited to teach a class here at the University of Findlay, tenure will be honored. And also when we think about athletics, so if you are going to play D3, I know D3 just a little bit better. Kathy knows D2 a lot better than I do. But D3 sports is if you are going to participate in D3 sports, you must take the majority of your coursework on the campus for which you play. Let me say that again. So if you play D3 sports, which is what Bluffton is, you must, as a student athlete, take the majority of your coursework on the campus at which you play. So that means we will have strong, robust programs at Bluffton University. Now, does that mean if we decide we want to offer computer science primarily here, that a student can't be a computer science major? That doesn't mean that at all, but what it does mean is we still will have to show to HLC that general education and some other courses comprise the majority of that student's coursework. So those are complicated questions, and our transition teams, as Dr. Fell said, will work on those, but we're already anticipating that and thinking about it, but it is really important to know we're working within a structure.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. And the same is true of Division II. So the same is true for our student athletes. 51% of the coursework must be taken on the campus where you are playing your sport. Okay, and please, your next question.
So you mentioned the college age cliff, that enrollment cliff. Do you guys have numbers specifically? What are you seeing?
I don't have numbers in front of me, but I'm not sure what the percentage of projection is. President Wood, do you have those numbers?
I don't, but if you type in enrollment cliff Ohio in Google, you will get about 3,425 sites. So
Okay.
Yeah, you can Google that at any time. And there are also think tanks and groups who really are working on this question. And AICUO is the Association of Independent Colleges and Universities of Ohio. And President Fell is the past chair of that organization, and they have also done enormous amounts of research. So if you go out to AICUO, they will have Ohio-specific data, facts for you out there. I wouldn't want to tell you something and have it be wrong.
Yeah. I have a question that's almost exactly linked to this. Can I ask it? Do you want me to wait? I can wait.
Go ahead.
Okay. Did you see a change in enrollment at your two universities that inspired this partnership? In enrollment, I should say.
Our enrollment has been strong and steady, I'm happy to say, due to a great deal of very hard work. And why wouldn't you love the University of Findlay? Unless you're going to Bluffton, where you love Bluffton University.
Yeah, we also have seen steady enrollment, so we are not seeing that, but we also know that this enrollment cliff is coming, and we also know simply by the demographics. Again, if you go out and look at AICUO, we simply do not have the numbers of college-age students now or going forward that we have had in the past.
Thank you.
Other questions?
So while you were all talking, some of our intrepid team over here pulled up some statistics, and it is the AICUO data, and they show that the change in the high school graduate class in the Midwest is down 15% in Michigan, 11% in Ohio, 24% in West Virginia, 13% in Kentucky, 24% in Illinois. Those are some pretty big numbers in terms of that drop. And so there's more information on that website, but basically for rural institutions, they're going to be very adversely affected. And though we're in Findlay, which is considered a city, it's not a huge urban district. So Bluffton and Findlay would be considered part of that rural population. Is there anything else you want to add? Other questions?
Okay, this is the last question, I swear. But I'm a member of both The Pulse, which is the University of Findlay's newspaper, and WLFC 88.3, which is our radio station. And I was curious what was going to happen to that. Like, will The Pulse be merged with The Wit, I believe, is Bluffton's newspaper? Will we be sharing content? What will be kind of the things that we're doing over there?
That's a good question. I'm going to let Jane answer it.
And I'm going to turn to our faculty, some of our faculty leaders who are here, and say, no. I think those are the questions that we will ask transition teams to look at. How much collaboration do you as students want? We do want to hear from students. We want to hear what's important to you. How much do you want to collaborate with one another? We are running those programs successfully now. So if they want to stay totally independent and communicate on big questions, that sounds fine to me. It also sounds perfectly fine if you say, oh gosh, it would be really fun to learn more from a different culture and a different environment. We'd like to go back and forth. I think those are really fun and exciting questions for students to really contemplate. How does that work? I would also say I think it's a great opportunity. As students move into the wider world, you are going to be moving into different kinds of spaces and places and cultures. And so to learn how to be successful in one culture, for example, the University of Findlay, and then to go learn about how Bluffton does things, it might be just a little bit different, it might be just the same, but nevertheless to be doing something that's similar in a different space is a great life lesson. It prepares you for life as well as vocation.
Thank you.
We have time for some more questions, if anybody else has one that they would like to ask.
So what are you hearing? Let me ask you all a question. Oh, I think we have a person coming forward with a question. Please.
Hi, I'm Cindy Bandish. I'm from Bluffton University. I teach in the English department. So I know we have lots of English-trained people around us at both institutions. I appreciate all the things that you have said about the process and how we will be moving forward. I'm really concerned about a number of faculty who feel that this has been a kind of situation that creates distrust, as opposed to trust, which we would like to sort of say, we trust that our administrators are doing what they need to do. But I've been hearing a lot of people talking about not feeling like they can trust right now. Have you thought at all about how to work to rebuild that trust?
Well, on our campus, I'm not sensing a great deal of that. And when we came, President Wood and I came to Bluffton a few days ago, we had very good conversation with a large group of faculty and staff, certainly not everybody. And so I'm not surprised that this type of news after 125 years comes across as something shocking or perhaps born of some secret plan. I'm not surprised by that. I think it's a natural reaction to a very sudden shift in plans for the future. So I respect it. But how are we dealing with it? By offering to answer questions that we know the answer to and asking our faculty and staff on both campuses to help us create the answers to questions that really belong to all of us, not just to two presidents. And I'm hoping, and I do believe, that we will create and restore trust as we work together. I think it is inevitable that you will learn to trust one another on both campuses and trust your leadership again.
Yeah, and I do think it will take some time. Because we did have the due diligence phase, we have had a great deal more time, and our Board of Trustees has had a great deal more time to think this through and sort of absorb what the issues are, where it has been a surprise. to our faculty and staff at Bluffton University and University of Findlay too. But as the smaller organization, of course, we are going to feel that way. And so I think it is going to take time. And I think what will be helpful is that we do have 12 to 15 months where essentially we remain Bluffton University as we're working toward this merger, and there will be this time for people to get to know each other. We talk a lot about, it's all about relationships, and I think as we start to build those relationships with the University of Findlay, and as you see President Fell, who is very much a person of her word, honoring what she says, and you see the leadership emerging over the next 12 to 15 months, I think that trust will be rebuilt, but it is going to take some time.
Agreed. I don't know how you trust somebody you don't know. So why would I expect you to do that? Why would we expect you to do that? Just all I ask is that you give us an opportunity to get to know one another. And then you can decide. Yeah.
We have time for one more question. Would the presidents like to say anything else at this point?
So we pledge to you this, that we will be honest with you and straightforward with you, that we will accept and try to answer any respectful question that you or your friends and colleagues and students ask. And we will be asking questions of you because we don't have all the answers. That's not how a university works. We have highly intelligent, highly experienced people who work on our campuses and who study on our campuses. So we may be asking you more questions than you have for us. So I hope you'll be open to helping us with that.
And I hope that you will be open to dreaming with us a little bit. Each of us alone can continue as we are, but as we look towards the future, we look a lot stronger together as organizations. I haven't had a chance to get to know too many of the University of Findlay folks well, but the people I have met have been warm and welcoming and caring. And I promise to the University of Findlay folks that you will not find people who are more mission-driven, more caring, or kinder than you will find at Bluffton University and in the Bluffton community. And as we seek to strengthen faith-based education in Northwest Ohio, I hope you will dream with us. I hope even if you're struggling with trust issues, that you will indeed take a breath and imagine the wonderful things we could create for our students and our communities if we really lean into this and really try to do things as one.
Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight. We appreciate your participation. As a reminder, if you do have questions, additional questions, please go to the website and you can lodge those questions there and look for updates. Also, tomorrow night at 7 p.m., we will have a similar town hall at Bluffton at Yoder Recital Hall on Bluffton University campus. So if you'd like to come down I-75 and attend at Bluffton, we would love to have you in that space as well. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.